The following half-hour show is a paid political program and is not endorsed by this station, management, or staff.
The following program is sponsored by Excalibur Insurance Management Services.
We welcome to this week's show Scranton City Controller John Murray. John recently announced his candidacy for mayor of the city of Scranton, which will put him on a collision course with the current mayor, Paige Gephardt-Cognetti, in the Democratic primary this May. John was born in St. Joseph's Children's Hospital right here in Scranton and was adopted by Robert and Dolores Joyce Murray and grew up on Penn Avenue in Greenridge. He attended St. Paul's grade school. John's grandparents had a brush with fame. Their cousins, the McNallys, one of whom, named Mike McNally Sr., was a great baseball player. Nicknamed Manuka Mike, he was the roommate of none other than the great Babe Ruth. They were close friends on both the Red Sox as well as when they were both with the New York Yankees. Because of that friendship, Babe Ruth would often visit the family homestead on Penn Avenue, and visit the grandparents of John as well as the McNally clan, specifically Aunt May Murray McNally. John attended high school at Bishop Hannon and received a basketball scholarship to Lackawanna College and earned a degree in business. John then went on to receive his bachelor's degree in business administration from Marywood University. John married his true love, Judy McDonough, and they went on to have 3 daughters together, Katie, Allison, and Megan. Tragically, in the mid-'80s, Judy was diagnosed with breast cancer and would pass away several years later. John turned his grief into action by helping found and becoming the first president of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. Under his leadership, the first Race for the Cure fundraiser was held, a race that would go on to be the largest per capita women's race in the country. During this time, John worked in the administration of former Governor Robert P. Casey Sr. After the governor's term was finished and several years of developing the Breast Cancer Foundation as president, John then took a job in the administration of the governor's son, Robert P. Casey Jr., when he was Auditor General of Pennsylvania. John became the regional director of the office. In addition to his public service, John was instrumental and the founding member in the creation of the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary Foundation. Currently, John is the president of the board of directors of the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. We look forward to discussing John's candidacy today and the reasons he is running for mayor of the city of Scranton.
This is the Volpe Report, a weekly news and political interview show examining the latest local, state, and national issues with Chuck Volpe. Insightful, informative, controversial, the area's premier political talk show, the Volpe Report.
John, welcome to the Volpe Report.
Thank you, Chuck. Glad to be here. Thanks for
First
having
of all, congratulations on your recent announcement. For the public that doesn't know, you've just announced your candidacy for the Democratic nomination for mayor of the city of Scranton. So that puts you into a primary fight with an incumbent Democratic mayor, although she won her special election as an independent, but my understanding is she switched back to the party. But let's first start with this momentous decision. You've announced and you're on the ballot to run for the Democratic nomination for mayor. It'll be in May in the primary. Why'd you make that decision?
Well, Chuck, it wasn't easy. I thought about it for a while, and as I told you before, I can remember sitting on the couch with my dad watching election returns when I was 14 years old, and I said to my dad, no, that's 50 years ago. I said to my dad, I'm going to run for mayor one day. Well, it took me 50 years to make up my mind, and here I am. I finally pulled the trigger to do it. But as you know, I'm city controller right now, so
Correct.
I have a little bit of an idea of what goes on within the city. Yeah. And I get to look at a lot of different things, and I just think it's my time,
right.
And I want to give it a go and see where we end up.
Let's kind of segue into now you're a young man, and your first experience in public service was when?
Public service, working for the government or working
for the government.
For the government was in 19 91, July of 1991, I went to work for the State Workmen's Insurance Fund
Right.
in the Department of Labor and Industry.
That was under the administration of Robert P.
Governor,
Casey
yes.
Sr., Governor Casey.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. Stayed there until 1997. March of 1997, I was named Regional Director for the Department of the Auditor General under Robert Casey Jr.
Junior, now our
Yes.
United States Senator.
Now our United States Senator. I worked under the Casey administration for 8 years. Jack Wagner was elected Auditor General.
Correct.
He served for 8 years. He asked me to stay on. I served him for 8 years and served the Commonwealth for 8 years there. Eugene D. Pasquale, he ran, he won. He asked me to stay on, and I did, and I served 4 more years until I decided to retire.
All right.
And I did. I retired, stayed home for a year,
Yeah.
and then the opportunity presented itself to run for city controller.
Right.
I ran for city controller, and here we are today.
Right. Well, you know, if I knew nothing else about you, that speaks a lot to your expertise, your qualifications to be mayor, not only being the city controller, which is the chief financial watchdog for the city.
Correct.
So you know where every dollar goes and sign off on contracts and things like that.
Sign off on everything, yes.
So you're the watchdog against corruption, which the
Correct.
city unfortunately has a bad name for after what happened with Bill Courtwright.
Right.
Let's talk, John, a little bit about some important background that I think people need to know. While you were serving the citizens of the Commonwealth and this region in various governmental positions, you suffered tragedy in your life, and there's scar tissue from that, but from that also is a resolve that develops. So I think that people should know, and let's start with, and I am familiar with this. I remember when your wife got sick. I remember what you and your family had to go through. I remember when she passed away, and then I remembered what your response was. So start there and go forward.
Okay, it was 1986, and my wife, Judy McDonough, was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was given 5 years from the University of Pennsylvania Hospital where she had surgery. 1991, in January, she passed away. We had 3 children, 3 little girls. They were 9, 7, and 5 at the time. So, and I can go back a little bit,
Please.
if I just want to do a timeline here. 86, my wife's diagnosed. 88, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. October of 1990, my mom passed away. January of 1991, my wife passed away, leaving me with 3 little girls, 9, 7, and 5, and a wonderful mother-in-law who helped out. And then in April of 91, I was working at Consolidated Freightways, which was the afterthought of Emory Worldwide, which was from Emory Air Freight. I worked in the accounting division there for 12 years. They downsized, so my position was eliminated.
Right.
So I had to find another job. So then, as you know, I went to work for the State Workmen's Insurance Fund. But in the meantime, in 1991, I was approached to start a chapter, a local chapter of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation.
I'm familiar with your
Yes,
involvement.
which we did.
Leadership.
We did that in memory of my late wife. I was the first president of the board of directors of that organization. I stayed pretty much hands-on for a good many years until, you know, you move on, you go on to other things. My kids are getting older. It's, you know, people are, they were wonderful. We had the largest, as a matter of fact, in 1991, in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the largest women-only per capita race in the country.
Wow.
Which was really a testament to the people in the area that
And
came
a testament to the leadership of the
Well,
person that
yeah.
accepted the mantle of leadership.
That's probably.
I can say that.
You can
You
say
won't
that.
brag.
I won't say that. No.
I remember, as
Yeah.
I said, I remember all about that, and
Yeah.
I remember your involvement in a lot of, obviously, public accolades, coverage by the press, television and print news, Scranton Times,
Yeah.
features and articles on you. So,
That brings me up to the IHM Foundation. I got a group of people together. We wanted to try to raise some money for the sisters.
That's the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Immaculate Heart of Mary, Sisters Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which both of us have experience with from Bishop Hannon High School.
Yes, both proud graduates of the old Bishop Hannon High School.
I had experience from St. Paul's, Bishop Hannon, and Marywood, so I had a lifetime of the sisters. And the retired sisters needed, I wanted to raise some money to give the retired sisters.
Right.
So as it ends up, we end up forming a foundation. And that foundation has been going since 2013. And I'm proud to say we've raised over $500,000 in that time. Now, we started out to do maybe one fundraiser and raise maybe $20,000 and be happy and go home. But it manifested itself into that, which is the response has been incredible. And it's just a good feeling that you can do nice things for people like that, and it works out well. My other involvement, it's been a rather tough go of it right now, but I'm president of the board of directors of the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Wow. And we
another
have
community landmark of the largest magnitude.
And an economic driver for downtown Scranton.
Of course.
The premier, I think, of course I'm the president, I'm the premier theater and entertainment venue as well as wedding reception venue in the Northeast, and it's a wonderful place. But we've fallen and trying to navigate through this past year with the pandemic has not been easy. Thank goodness for the Masons.
Right.
The Masons are a wonderful partner with us. They still hold their meetings there, and they're always there when we need them, and I can't thank them enough. Thank goodness for the PPP and the EIDL. They've sustained us for the last year. Right. We're waiting now on the paperwork to finally get going and the application process for the shuttered venue. I don't know what the holdup is on that, but that's the next thing we're going to have to do before we can get back open again. And we want to open again. We want to bring Broadway theater back.
Right. And
we want to do all that. And it's all part of our community. It's part of our fabric, and we want to bring that back and help the area thrive again.
Wow. Well, we'll just, I have to comment on the ordeals, travails, roadblocks that you've had to overcome in your life personally. Say something about you, about your character. And not only did you get up for your family and for your 3 daughters to help them through the difficult times, but how you found time while all this other important things were going on to champion the causes that you did are flat out amazing. Anybody that would have any wonders or qualms about your abilities as mayor, if you can raise millions for the Susan Komen Foundation in this area, $500,000 for the IHM Sisters, that could be one of the miracles to, you're on your way to beatification for sainthood. That would qualify for that.
I don't know if I'll go that far, but thanks.
Well, the miracle part you got covered.
Yeah.
And in addition to all of your government service is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to your strong roots to this area, and I have no doubt, and we'll get into the campaign in city government, which is going to be your whole platform of why you're running, in the second half of the show as we get in your break. But the qualifications that you have demonstrated, I know one of the issues in this campaign is the incumbent mayor, Paige Gebhardt-Cognetti, who's been on this show, by the way, after she was elected. A good person, a good heart, and good intentions for the city. I think flat out, as we will talk about in the second half of the show, a lack of connection to reality of this area, a lack of roots from this area will be something I know is going to be an issue in the campaign. At any rate, we'll be back after these messages.
Every week, Chuck Volpe shares his perspective on Pennsylvania issues in the news and on your mind. From new laws being introduced in Harrisburg and Washington, to government spending and even local controversies, hear how they affect us in Northeast and Central Pennsylvania. Catch Volpe's views every Tuesday on the Fox 56 News, first at 10.
Welcome back. Again, we're here today with John Murray, the aspiring Democratic nominee for mayor of the city of Scranton. And we spent the first half of the show, of course, John, talking about and familiarizing you. A lot of people know of you. Some know you personally, but even I'm learning things about your background and your life that I think are flat out inspiring. So I'm glad our people that view this show had a chance to hear about it. So now let's turn into some of the specifics. You're running for mayor of the city of Scranton. You're very, very, very well versed in some of the issues that you'll confront in that office. So let's start right out. I have to start right out with, and I'm not going to comment or take sides in the propriety of the mayor's budget, which was unanimously rejected by council. There was quite a wish list. Mayor Cognetti had asked for things like a chief of staff, $70,000 or so plus $1,000, an additional human resources liaison just for her to the HR office, among other things. So council, in its wisdom, felt that for a city that's financially distressed, facing potential large financial burdens, we still don't have a final ultimate ruling on the city's $50 million lawsuit that was going on. Our local judge ruled here in the Court of Common Pleas the city owed that money. They have won a round on appeal of that, but now it's going up higher. So we don't know where that's going. The budget proposed, I should say, not proposed, but the budget adopted by City Council was $114.5 million. Now, again, back to some of the issue. If you knew nothing about, the need for some of what the requests of Mayor Cognetti were, I was shocked that it was 5-0 against her proposal. We have new members of council. This is clearly an open-minded and progressive council. We have good representation on that council from a gender and youth perspective, along with people that have been involved in this area. And for that group to say 5-0, that's not a realistic budget, and have it shot down. Now, my understanding is she never actually, she didn't attempt to veto it, because clearly 5-0 beats her veto. And she reacted by not signing the budget. Now, that's something I've been very critical about, not for her, but our governor, Tom Wolf, didn't sign a budget for pretty much historically for his whole first term. So, again, it speaks to, a lack of coordination. One of the things, I think, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, not only about that budget and some of the items she requested, but what it speaks to me is a lack of the ability or the knowledge or the understanding of the necessity of working with other branches of government. We have checks and balances in our system. The legislative function, the appropriating function in the city of Scranton is with council. The mayor submits the budget, they work together. Well, on a number of issues, not just the budget, it seems like council finds out by reading in the newspaper what the mayor wants to do, and then not a good way to deal. I mean, we're learning now firsthand, as I've been critical, as I said, about our governor, about a dictatorship. This country's not authoritarian. You need to work together. So take it from there, because I'm going to guess that's going to be one of the issues. Your ability to work with council to move the city forward will be an issue.
Right. And I have a good relationship with the council members where they are now. To her credit, I won't take it away from her. She does go to caucuses with council and does answer some questions from them, and that's all good and well. As far as the big raises and the chief of staff, I mean, let's face it, we're a city of 77,000 people. Okay, we're not Philadelphia, we're not New York. I mean, to have a chief of staff, from my understanding, from the lens that I look through, your business administrator is technically your chief of staff. I mean, once the budget's prepared, all the departments report to the business administrator.
Right.
So after the budget's done, then it's the business administrator's job to push the agenda forward and do all that. Right. Do department heads need raises, deserve raises? Absolutely.
They got, but
they got some raises.
They got them.
They did not. Not to the $70,000 level where that was asked. Right. However, they did get a nice increment which is what you do when you're putting a budget into. You do it incrementally. Take it up to that level that you want to get it to. And let's be honest. I know that there was talk of a commitment to bringing the best and the brightest in. They're going to say they're not going to stay forever.
Right.
They're not going to be here forever. These are, in essence, it'd be like Joe Biden going in and keeping all of Donald Trump's guys. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
You know that.
Of course.
That's the way it is.
Right.
But in order to get the best and the brightest, we have some bright people that have been with the city. We have some bright people that have been in politics in the city, right, that now are being painted with the broad brush of corruption, which really rankles me.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of that. I digressed a little bit over to that, but it bothers me when everybody's
painted with
that broad brush of corruption.
Right.
Did we have corruption in the city of Scranton? Sure.
Right.
Sure. Do we have it in Lackawanna County? Sure.
Yeah.
Did the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania have it? Sure. Is there corruption at the federal level? Sure.
Right.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere if you
Right.
if you want to get into it. But it was one guy
Right.
that,
Right.
that
Mayor Bill Cartwright.
that shouldn't have done what he did.
Right.
You know, and but it wasn't everybody in his administration.
Right.
It was him.
Exactly.
So get over it and move on and govern, and let's get the business of the people going here.
Right. Well, it was a tough ask for me, John, also in the backdrop. While this historic request for increases in the budget by the current mayor, Paige Gephardt-Cognetti, the request came at the backdrop of suffering historic loss of jobs.
Right.
People that don't know if they're going to be able to keep their homes. People
Right.
that are, thanks to federal orders, have prevented them from being evicted because they can't pay the rent.
Right.
Tens of thousands of small businesses in Pennsylvania, many hundreds in the city of Scranton. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. Many of them are never coming back. Timing in life is everything. I know in past years I told a story on this show that I learned over time when to ask my dad for the car on Friday night when I was in high school. You know when not the time was? When I just got like a deficiency report at school,
Right.
or I got a notice that I was failing algebra. That was not, Dad, could I have the, no, I already knew the answer. No was going to be. I usually try to pick my spots when it would be more conducive to getting yes. Well, again, that's just a tone deafness for what matters to the people in this area. She hails from Oregon, obviously, and God bless that state, but that's not Scranton, Pennsylvania. So
No, it's not. No. And,
So-
as you know, the average salary in the city of Scranton is probably around $40,000 a year.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
to put a bunch of raises on top of that on a budget that really couldn't afford it,
Right.
it just
Irresponsible
wasn't
to
the
me.
right thing to do.
Exactly.
I'll leave it at
I'll
that.
call it irresponsible. It also speaks to an issue of this is really her first executive experience. She's not had the ability to be in that level, and she has done things and had a good career in public service. But, as I said, I mean, being an executive, living within the constraints of budgets, and now you're going to have to be rather innovative in how you go forward with budgets. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things I know council did was through some debt refinancing, they created $3.8 million excess, if you will. I don't want to call it surplus because it's not really a surplus. It's more of just one-time money. You don't get to
Right.
refinance whenever you need money.
No.
But that money plugs in the deficit created by the pandemic from 2020. So the city, at $114.5 million, has a balanced budget. But going forward, you're going to need to generate new revenues. One of the things that should help the city going forward is, at this point, it looks like the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill,
Right.
which passed the Senate and is, at the taping of this show, about to be sent to the House and then to the President for his signature, which he's indicated President Biden has said he will sign it. So by the time this show airs, it's going to be the fact.
Right.
Well, between state and local government and schools, $500 billion is going to be coming. God willing, Scranton will see some of that money. So what are your plans fiscally going forward?
Let's hope Scranton sees a good piece of that plan. And let's hope the school district sees a good piece of that plan. It's all the same tax base. I mean, we can try to separate ourselves as being two separate forms of government, but the same people are footing the bill for everything. So that's got to be, you've got to work together to do that. My plans going forward, there are a few things that I've been thinking about. Okay, one of them is it's not, they called it in the old days, I don't want to bring that word up, but it would be a non-resident earned income tax, if we can do that. Right. I mean, these are all things we have to explore. Right. On the other side of it, I'd like to give some people relief in the city. I want to see, there was talk of, during the last administration, of a hybrid trash fee, which would be much more equitable and fair to our older citizens. You've got a retired couple paying the freight for a lot of other people that aren't paying the freight, so to say. The $300 for their taxes that are now in their taxes. They're now in their, which will be good for a collection, but they did lose out on their. A lot of people used to pay the 4 payments for their city taxes. They would pay their garbage fee separately. They would go in and be able to get the 10% discount and save themselves $30. Well, now you have to pay, in order to get the $30, you've got to do the whole discount period. You can't just do the garbage fee discount period. So, I'm not thrilled about that either. I'm one of those guys. So it's, but we do have to find new, innovative ways the city needs to bring. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make promises that I've got a magic wand that's going to solve the city's ills. These ills took 40 years to pile up. They're not going to go away in 4. And anybody that tells you that is, it's just not going to happen.
Disingenuous.
Yeah. So, we'll sit down, we'll look at it, we'll work at it, we'll work hard at it. We'll, right now overtime is just, got to take a hard look at overtime. And if that means hiring more police, more fire to combat the overtime, I mean, it's in the budget. I think it's $1.5 million or something. If that's in there, that's going to be spent because it's, look, we got money to spend. So let's do that.
Well, regrettably, we're already pretty much out of time.
Okay.
Well, so do it again. The half hour goes by real quickly. I'd like you to, and just in short form, kind of talk about, why you want to be the mayor again. I know we've talked about it at the beginning, but what you see as your reasons to distinguish what's going on with the current mayor and why you represent something different.
Well, some people think I don't represent something different, but I do. Okay, I love this city. The city of Scranton. I love the city of Scranton. I've lived here my whole life. As I said before, I was born at St. Joseph's Children's and Maternity Hospital and adopted, and my dad had a gas station at the corner from our house, and I grew up in a half a double home. And there are a lot of people out there, still out there in the city of Scranton like me. And there are other things that I want to see happen other than everybody concentrates on the taxes, on this. We have a drug dealer problem in the city of Scranton that people know about, but it kind of gets put under the covers. But we got to confront that head on and work with the police department to do that, and District Attorney Mark Powell. I mean, the city of Scranton's got to confront these issues. And we've got to have a safe city, and we've got to have a city that can start to bring taxes down. I mean, I like the attitude of come here and work from here, but those that are coming from here and working from here, are they coming here, working from here? Are they paying the earned income tax here? Or are they still saying they live in New York City and they're paying it there? We still, that stuff has to be explored too.
Well, John, thank you for joining us today. Again, we're here today with John Murray, candidate for mayor of the city of Scranton in the Democratic primary that's upcoming. He will be challenging incumbent Mayor Paige Gephardt-Cognetti, and you've heard from him today about some of his views, some of what ails the city, also some of his ideas for what will get the city heading in the right direction. I know of no one that would be more qualified to do it than he. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Catch Volpe's Views every Tuesday on the Fox 56 News First at 10.